Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of ChaiNet. If I'm not wrong, I think we're on our 32nd episode today. Very warm welcome. As you know, or for the people who are new here, this is ChaiNet, where we learn from experts before the machines take over. I'm Rachit Magan, your host, and today we're talking about something that is keeping every digital marketer up at night. For more than 25 years, Google and the likes owned search. If you ranked number one in a search engine, you got traffic, you made the money. Then AI showed up. ChatGPT, Claude, even Google's own AI, Bing's own AI. Now, when someone asks for something like best running shoes for flat feet, they don't get 10 links and ranking doesn't matter. They get one AI generated answer. No website visits, no traffic, and of course, no revenue, right? Today, we'll meet Dhruv Kantak. For the past 4 years, he's driven millions of organic visits for the biggest D2C e commerce brands and B2B SaaS companies. But right now, he's watching the SEO rules change in real time. Google's AI overview have cut traffic for some sites by more than 30%. There are zero click searches which are dominating the market. Traditional SEO metrics are becoming meaningless. So, what does someone do who's a SEO expert when he sees search itself being rewritten by AI? Let's learn from Dhruv today and let's see how we can evolve our understanding of SEO. Hello, Dhruv. A very warm welcome to ChaiNet.
Hi, Rachit. Thank you for your kind.
Great. So, Dhruv, would love for a small introduction to what you're doing and a bit about you for our
Sure.
listeners.
Sure. So I have been working in the field of SEO for close to 4 to 5 years now. I started off in the field of content, and when I was actually working in content, I discovered that, there's a vast science behind how websites actually rank for number one. And, that's when my interest in SEO or, just search engines peaked overall. And that's, basically how I got into SEO. And yes, that has been, sort of my journey over the last 4 or 5 years. I've worked with several D2C brands in the B2B space as well, a lot of marketplaces too. So, yes, it's been an exciting journey, but I think what is about to come in terms of AI search, AEO, GEO, all of these new terms is even more exciting. So, I'm looking forward to this chat as well.
Yeah, I think in general, we're all very interested. And also, I think a lot of people are scared because a lot of people think that, whatever they've done in the past 10 years is going to go away because of AI generated search. So, yeah, I would love to understand a bit more. But let's start with what you're seeing right now, right? You've been running SEO for e-commerce brands, D2C companies. These are businesses that depend on traffic from Google to survive, right? Their core metrics, their KPIs depend on how many people actually land on their websites. In the
Correct.
last 12 months, how has AI changed what you do every day?
So, on a scale of 1 to 10, probably at an 11.
Wow.
So SEO was mainly about three things, right? Keywords, how you put your content, and intent, right? So now currently that has completely shifted, and it's more about how LLMs or large language models basically interpret your brand. Last year, we'd probably have conversations with the team around how do we rank this page. Now it's more about how do we become the most reliable entity for this particular topic in across LLMs. So overall, in terms of SEO versus where we stand currently, previously it used to be more about how do we sort of optimize the right keywords, what do you do with your meta titles, but today it's more about adding more value through your content for your end user rather than anything else.
Right. Rather than, so do you mean like keywords and, all of that makes less sense now? Is it?
It is still super important, but again, earlier only keywords would probably do the trick for you, as long as like earlier how it used to work. So a very standard way of going about it would be that you scrape your competitor's website, you see what content they've written, you make it
Right.
a little better, add a few more keywords, and then you go ahead and publish it, and then you
Right.
expect your rankings to improve. You can't do that today. So
Hmm.
today, how it changes is that you ideally would want to, yes, your competitor research is still very important, but at
Right.
the same time, if you're not adding value that hasn't been sort of given already from your competitors, if you're not telling your users something new, or the LLMs or your search engine something new, you're not
Right.
going to rank. So having unique content out there, having value adding content out there is what is more important rather
Very
than keywords,
important.
just keywords today.
Interesting. Also, it becomes so basically people who had genuinely, like, I remember during our SEO days, a lot of people were trying to hack their way through by just copying the blogs and, just changing keywords and pushing things out. Versus there were people who used to say that no, you understand, do your competitor research, but write genuine content, don't copy, don't do that. So I think then automatically that now that becomes a de facto standard, right? You cannot copy content anymore.
Absolutely. And the brands who did it back then, in the second scenario that you just mentioned, are benefiting from it today because it's a lot
Hmm.
more easier for them to get cited today because their
Right.
content has always, been optimized for the EE80 framework, and it's
Right.
always been more helpful than just content for SEO.
Interesting. Yeah. Always helps to do things the right way.
Correct.
But there's this new term now, right? There are these two new terms actually. There's AEO, Answer Engine Optimization, and GEO, right? Generative Engine
Correct.
Optimization. So for people who don't know, what is that?
Okay, so AEO, when you say answer engine optimization, this is mainly for optimizing for Google's AI overviews or
Mm-hmm.
basically models where you have responses or results in a question answer format.
Right.
GEO is more towards ChatGPT and other LLMs
Hmm.
where the content that you want is generated out of nothing. So answer engine is more about what is already out there, and generative engine optimization is for models where the
Interesting.
answer is actually generated according to what your query is. So basically, when you talk about AEO and GEO,
Mm-hmm.
to be completely honest with you, you will see a lot of people on LinkedIn are talking about, let's say we're the new AEO, GEO experts.
Right.
We have the playbook. But to be honest, nobody has the playbook
Hmm.
because this is something that is so new that there has to be still years of research before you have like a solid strategy as to what works and what doesn't. So
Right.
everybody in the industry, including myself right now, is just working on experiments. Sometimes,
Hmm.
some things work, some things don't. At the same time, as far as AOGO go, my understanding or my notion is that about 80 to 90% good SEO that you do overlaps with AEO and GEO anyways. So
Hmm.
what is good SEO? As long as you're putting valuable content out there, as long as the content that you're writing is more for the user than let's say just a search engine, and you're adding value at the end of the day, you will always be able to rank on top. So that is good SEO. AEO and GEO demands the same. As long as you have content that people can trust and like basically helps your brand become trustworthy or look like an expert overall, we will cite you. We will you
Hmm.
will show up in our answers.
Right.
So basically that's what it's all about.
Right. So at the end of the day, I was reading somewhere that AEO is like answer engine optimization is very similar to on-page SEO that we used to do because you're putting good content, so Google would use Google, or like your search overviews will use your content and cite you. And GEO becomes something like off-page SEO because if you were getting mentioned on Reddit on different, and then something like a Chat GPT would cite you. Do you think that's
Yes.
that's the case?
But to a certain extent, yes. At the same time, yes, UGC, like for Geo particularly, UGC, how you
Right.
look on Reddit, Quora, Wikipedia, let's say
Hmm.
Trustpilot also for that matter. All these
Right.
UGC platforms matter a lot. But
Hmm.
that is not the entire story. I would still come back to, how my content is structured. If my content is actually readable and crawlable for, the crawlers, and how is my content perceived? For me, it's still, 70-80% of the content that is on our own website. The rest of it is more towards, UGC and, your PR as well.
Interesting. Yeah, that's fair. So you need to still do a 360-degree PR and SEO to be yeah.
Absolutely.
So that the whole fundamental kind of remains the same, but the output is completely changing, right? So it's
Correct.
very hard for let's say D2C brands, like when let's say there's a brand selling protein powder, right? And someone searches for best protein powder for muscle gain. Now we're tuned that okay, there'll be 10 different websites. You might come in the third or the second or maybe the first, and then
Mhm.
you'll get clicks, right? Now
Correct.
that's changed, right? Now you have an AI overview and Google's actually giving a direct answer.
Mhm.
How does an does an e-commerce brand even survive this, right? How do they even think that how do we optimize for this?
So honestly, the whole primary metric in this case changes, right? It is no more about the sort of traffic that you would get on your website.
Right.
One way to probably look at it is impressions. So visibility, right?
Right.
So basically, when you're building trust, when you're building a good community, when you're building the channels that you own, so when you do all of these things, you will see yourself getting cited and showing up on AI reviews as well. Apart from that, at the end of the day, if you're able to build that trust from the content that you're putting out, irrespective of whether you're ranking in AI overviews or if you're getting the right amount of traffic, at the end of the day, the end goal still remains revenue, right? So as long as you're still able to pull in that revenue, right, I don't think it should be a big problem. So
Right.
even if my primary metric changes, my end goal is still revenue.
Hmm.
So if I'm able to build that trust through my content or through SEO or organic activities itself,
Right.
uh, then I'm still generating revenue.
Correct.
So more than just optimizing for Google and doing the same shenanigans all over, the playbook I think is more shifting towards one is conversational selling. I think that is something that is a hot topic as of now, like
Hmm.
first party audience selling through emails, SMS, WhatsApp,
Right.
reviews, UGC. So
Right.
these are things that AI can never replace, right?
Correct.
So what kind of brand trust do you have, your UGC, your review? So all of these things, this is not something that AI can take away from you. So again, this is something that will always be important.
Right. Yeah, that's very interesting. And you raised a very interesting point. Conversational selling, right? I think in the recent times that has started increasing, right? How do you see the future unfold? Like, so there are two ways, right? I think that, yeah, there are two major ways someone can buy products. One is, of course, you go through the website, browse through the interface, and do all of that. The other one is you hypothetically buy things directly from WhatsApp, right?
Mhm.
Indigo tried that with their AI chatbot, right? Been, I was the other day I was stuck at the airport because of the Indigo crisis, and I was mostly just chatting with the AI chatbot, trying to figure out things, and then I from the
Correct.
chatbot.
Correct. So I think in terms of conversational selling, we're basically going in a full circle. So I always
Right.
believe that retail has always been conversational, right? So AI and AI agents is basically just bringing that back at scale.
Hmm.
So when people buy through DMs or through WhatsApp or just through chat,
Right.
that entire experience now is conversational and makes it more personalized. So if I had to think about like just conversational selling, there are multiple use cases to it, or there are multiple ways one could go about it. One is building agents for pre-sale. So for D2C brands, for a few brands that I have personally worked on, they're in the process of building these AI agents, where these AI agents will basically help with product recommendations. For some apparel
Right.
brands, probably sizing help or different comparisons, stock queries, so all of this. Apart from that, another very, very important thing that, performance marketing, SEO, nothing can solve is the
Right.
personalization layer, right?
Hmm.
So an AI agent, especially when you have a chatbot or be it through WhatsApp, an AI agent can be programmed to sort of remember your past orders, what kind of colors you've picked, or what has your average cart value look like. So all
Right.
of these things, and help you sort of personalize your options accordingly. So let's say if I'm buying t-shirts via a website today, if I'm talking to an AI agent who remembers, who's giving me suggestions according to my past orders, or the colors that I've picked before, my size, everything. So that whole personalization layer just makes it a lot more easier for me.
Hmm. Right. So yes, please.
Correct.
And then one which
Correct.
is
Mhm. I think is the first part, because in the first part, right? So AI agents is more on the tech front, where you just have to build out stuff, and there's, a
right.
defined module as to how you can go about it. When it comes to AEO, GEO, still there is nothing defined about it. There is no, let's say you have to do step one, step two, step three, right? It's more subjective. It's
Hmm.
more about, how, like, it's more about brand building, branding, PR, all of these things.
Right.
So, and branding has, in my opinion, always been subjective. So,
Correct.
there cannot be a one size fits all sort of a solution when it comes to brand building or, AEO, GEO. So
Right.
that's why, in my opinion, that is something that takes longer and
Right.
is relatively more difficult to do.
More.
So one is over dependence on Meta and Google. So I'm not just saying this because I am in SEO, but brands, D2C brands from the beginning, or even every D2C brands that launches today,
Right.
They launch, they have a few products, they do a little bit of social media, a little bit of influencer marketing, and then they just go on spending on Meta and Google, right?
Right.
If, let's say, majority of your revenue is driven by Meta and Google, that is not a sustainable way to grow, because
Correct.
it is basically like gambling. The more amount of money you put in, the more you're expected to get back. Of course, for the performance marketing folks, there's a lot of efforts and optimizations that go into it. But
Right.
again, it's not the most sustainable way to grow. So that is one of the pain points that I'm seeing, that their over dependence on Meta and Google is something that is not helping them grow sustainably. And a lot of eventually, when these there is a point after which you don't see that growth in terms of performance marketing on Meta and Google, right? Let's say if I'm spending 10 rupees today and making sales worth 20 rupees, it doesn't mean I can have ad spends worth 1 CR and make 2 CR again, right?
Right.
So there is always that gap over there, which basically becomes a problem at scale, right? So SEO, AEO, GEO, all of these organic growth levers or marketing channels then become your more sustainable way to grow on the side. Of course.
What even a way to do that?
So in today's day, unfortunately, there's no way to remove it altogether. The only way you can do it is to substitute it to a large extent through organic channels. So when I say organic channels, again, that's the longer game to play. But with brands particularly, what happens is, now they've spent a lot of money making their website, getting inventory, all of these things. So they want sort of instant return on that investment too. So that's why ads, because that is something that'll get you revenue faster. But in terms of SEO, AEO, GEO, these are more games to play in the long run. Right? So
Hmm.
if I start SEO today, it'll probably start showing me revenue 6, 7 months down the line.
Down the line. Right.
Probably that will also be less than 10% of your overall revenue share.
Right.
90% will still be driven by Meta and Google.
Correct.
The whole goal. So, as an SEO, my aim for every brand is that how do I bring their performance marketing spends lower, right?
Hmm.
How do I sort of, if they, let's say, spend lesser on Google tomorrow, or even Facebook tomorrow, how do I sort of help them make that revenue from SEO? So when I'm able to cover that gap is when I feel SEO is successful. Absolutely.
Right. I think that should.
Correct. Just one more thing to add on over here.
Hmm.
Uh, a lot of brands, SEO revenue seems pretty straightforward. That you probably have some tracking set up on, let's say, Shopify or Google Analytics, and you see what kind of revenues or organic channels driving for you. At the same time, what you don't realize is that there are ways in which SEO also saves you a lot of money, right? For example, let's say I want to sell, I have a t-shirt brand and I have a red check shirt that I want to sell. Okay,
Right.
now in terms of red check shirt, let's say I am bidding for that keyword on Google Ads. I'm spending a lot of money. Again, high competition keyword, high search volumes. I'm spending a lot of money on it. Over the next 6 months, I start ranking for that keyword organically on number one. Right.
Right.
So now if I'm ranking for that keyword on number one, I don't probably need to spend so much on Google anymore, on Google's
True.
search ads anymore.
True.
So that is also money saved. So if you look at it that way, money saved is also equal to money earned, right?
Right.
In terms of SEO. So,
Right.
what I'm probably saving you in Google Ads will also help you contribute somewhere else. So,
Correct.
SEO still works in, various ways to make you money. And this is
Right.
just one of the ways of it. So, in terms of staying a trusted brand, I think it's all about one, your customer experience. So, when you have a good customer experience in place, or when your entire experience itself is good, the user is more likely to go ahead and give you a good review. So, reviews, UGC, influencers, this is what is going to move the needle in the next few months or in the next few years as well, in my opinion. So as long as you're providing a good experience, people are going to say good things about you, and that is, again, that is something that AI can never take away. So when you have these good reviews and good UGC that
Right.
is supporting your brand, of course it will help you with AI visibility as well. But
Right.
on a user level also, when I'm seeing people say good things about a particular brand on Reddit, on Quora, all of these different forums, I am naturally to trust that brand a lot more.
Right. Even
Absolutely.
if that's the TLDR, what I would try to, if I want to summarize it.
Absolutely. So even when we started this podcast, one of the first things that you say is that a lot of marketers and digital marketers are losing their sleep over this.
Right.
I can tell you for a fact that the marketers who've gotten their fundamentals right from the beginning are sleeping like a baby right now. Probably, yes. I think that'd be true.
But
I think I'm more excited than nervous because to a certain at a certain point SEO is can get a little monotonous or was getting a little monotonous,
Hmm.
where you're
Right.
optimizing for the same things, you're doing the same things over and over, and you're waiting for results to come. But now it has become a lot more fast-paced, where you constantly have to be on your feet. You're, let's say you go on a leave for 1 week, and Google suddenly comes up with a new core update. So ChatGPT's algorithms have changed, my citations have gone down, and everything is a mess. So you always have to be on the top of your game. And yes, I think even when you talk about my journey personally, the only thing that worked for me to grow at this pace throughout my career has only been staying up to date. So
Hmm. Right.
always being on top of what's new, what are some new things that you can do, what is something that nobody is doing, always experimenting, trying out something new. So
Right.
that has always worked in my favor. And yes, I hope to keep that streak alive.
Some recommendations?
Generally, no. So the sort of main spokesperson from Google's end is someone named as John Mueller,
Mm-hmm.
who's very active on LinkedIn, and who'll always keep telling you as to what Google's updates are.
Right.
Apart from that, of course, there are a lot of great SEO folks on LinkedIn as well. You can check them out.
Mm-hmm.
Google Search Central, they are very up to
Right.
with what updates they're sharing, what core updates are coming, what can you expect, what are they sort of targeting through those updates. So, just staying on top of all of these news pieces, and you're good to go. Correct.
So,
Yes,
what was the
absolutely.
lesson?
So the biggest lesson was that having, a lot of passion and, probably having the right skills for the job is
Mm-hmm.
not enough to run a business, right?
Hmm.
So a business is a lot more than that. So when I actually started my own agency, I was a lot younger. So, it was more about, this is something that I'm passionate about. I know that I'm good at this, so let's start an agency. So little did I know that, one of the biggest chunks which I'd never done before is going to haunt me and take me down, which was sales.
Right. Yes.
Sales is something that, I struggled with a lot. The irony is that I am in a sales role as of now, with Hoovers as the
Right.
so still about 70% of my job is sales. So I think what I couldn't do, let's say 3-4 years back in with my agency, I can do very well now. So I think the
Amazing.
next time I try to start my own agency or something of my own, I think I'll be a lot better at it for sure.
We have to preserve it. Second time,
Correct.
make
Absolutely.
it big.
Absolutely.
Right.
So I think for me, the biggest challenge has been more on a personal level,
Mm-hmm.
where I have always been a sort of a perfectionist. So anything I'm doing, I have to sort of get it right, or it has to be perfect. There has to be
Right.
absolutely no room for error whatsoever. So I have sort of learned to let that go, and that has always been a challenge because when I sort of had that in my mind, I used to miss deadlines. Time management used to become a big problem. So that letting go of that sort of perfectionist inside me was a very big challenge. It was through my agency also, one of the bigger lessons also that I learned was that sometimes even if it's not perfect, it's okay. The first thing that you need to do is go out and show it to the world. So that's where I understood the value of MVP products and all of these
Right.
things as well. So letting go of that perfection, always getting everything right, always getting everything perfect was
Hmm.
something that was a big challenge for me.
Then you feel
Absolutely.
that.
Yes, and I think that sort of connects to my agency as well, and why it didn't work out. So
Right.
initially, if I probably a few months or few years down the line, I had identified that, let's say sales are my problem. But I was so hell-bent that, let me take some time, I'll figure it out myself, that I never really delegated the sales part of it to anyone. So, and in that process, I sort of lost out on a good amount of time and value because of which, things sort of went down over a period of time. So I think that even if, let's say, I did not get better at sales at one point, if I had just delegated, I would probably be still here as the
Right.
founder of my agency.
Future.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of content, one is Claude. So in
Of
terms of
course.
content, rather than ChatGPT or even Gemini, I have found Claude to be very useful.
Hmm.
One is because, when you explain your brand guidelines or, the brand tone cloud properly, or you have the right prompts put in, the sort of output that I was expecting was, very close to, what the standards are supposed to be.
Hmm.
So I think for me personally, Claude has worked really well so far.
And I think that
Absolutely. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what.
Absolutely. I don't think AI is at a point, where it can take over, sort of writing and publishing content for us,
Right.
there has to be some sort of human intervention at some stage,
Exactly.
and it's absolutely necessary.
Even
Yeah, absolutely.
it,
Yeah, you just know. In my opinion, if I just had to, sort of condense it into one sentence,
hmm
it's all about build for your user. So
right.
just three words, just build for your user. Mainly because everybody, like especially in terms of SEO or overall as well, people want
Right.
to build for algorithms, people want to build for LLMs, people want to build for search engines. But throughout all this, what you're missing out is that you're sort of alienating the very people that you're trying to sell to, right? Why optimizing for LLMs, search engines is all well and good, as long as you're building for the user, as long as your product or your content is adding some sort of value to your end user's life, SEO, even AEO, GEO, everything will follow along. So as long as you're building for your user, adding
Mm,
value, I think you're good to go.
rather
Absolutely.
than
Thank you. Thank you so much.